Okay, let's get started here.
All right, Thor, I'm going to get you to
Thanks.
jump on it.
Yes, thanks everyone for coming here. I'm gonna do a quick introduction and then I'm gonna just hand it quickly over to Jadene. My name is Torsten and I'm here in the Northwest Territories with Table Tennis North and some other hats that I'm wearing too. My gender pronouns are he and him, and I want to acknowledge in the spirit of reconciliation that Table Tennis North lives, works, and plays within many traditional territories. Our physical office and training center is situated on the sacred lands of the Bega Gautier, what is also known the home of the river people in Treaty 11 territories. Or for most people that know the region here, it's Fort Providence in the Northwest Territories. And today we're very excited to have Jadene with us here. Um, I'm going to quote her from her website, and she said, "You are the unsung heroes, the driving force, mentors, motivators, confident, and cheerleaders. A good coach can inspire an ordinary athlete to extraordinary heights and take elite athletes to the podium and world stage." So that was beautiful to hear. I don't have much on Jadene, but I'm going to read a little bit here. There are so many wonderful things to say about Jadene. I will keep it very simple today, and Jadene can add to it right after. By sharing her knowledge and passion, Jadene creates empowering experiences for athletes to cultivate and express their own individual style through freelance contemporary choreography, personal performance coaching, and as well skating success. So over to you, Jadene. Thank you very much for being here.
Amazing. Thank you, Thorsten. It's such a pleasure to do this. Welcome to every single one of you. The biggest thing you can give me is your time. So thank you. I appreciate it so much. And Thor, I have to give you a little bit of backstory. You're probably thinking, what the heck? Table tennis and skating success? What happened here? We got a crossbreeding situation. And it really was because Thor has been involved in helping the figure skating community out, as well as table tennis and all sorts of other sports in the Northwest Territories. And we had the pleasure of meeting in Hay River several years ago. And we just really jived. We really connected. Our philosophies were aligned. And so we've just kept trying to find ways to work together. And we have long meetings where we go into like the philosophy of sport and coaching and mainly how to help young people become the best versions of themselves. And we're totally crazy. We think it can be done globally, online, and through people like yourselves. So really, this has been born out of passion and love and creativity. And now my goal here is that you have a selfish moment, because coaches are all about give, give, give. And then what? What? A side of give. All right. So when you're doing that and you're coaching all the time, it's hard to say, well, what about me? What about my time? What about what I need here? And so that this is designed for you. This is a 2-part series. Number 1 is today, and number 2 is in 2 weeks. I will give you homework. Yes, I will. So take your notes, do whatever you need to do it your own way. If you want to write notes on your computer, that's fantastic. We're going to do questions at the end. And also, if you have a question that's like, I don't want to forget it, you can put it in the chat and then Thor can keep track of them. Okay. All right. Everyone, I want you to do this for me. Loosen up your shoulders, even if your camera's not on. Good job. And then I want you to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just give yourself some credit for being here, okay? The hardest thing to do in life and in coaching is to show up. That is the hardest thing to do. It's much easier to skip over and be like, I don't know, webinar, like I think some of you guys are on Eastern time. Hello, it's too late at night, all the excuses. But the best coaches show up. That's how we start, okay? So I am going to share my screen with you. I need you to give me a thumbs up if and when you can see the screen. Just so I can, okay, all right, we got it. I like this interactive audience. It's great. Okay, so this whole context tonight is about something that came to me that I call the 5 pillars of excellence. Okay, now, as a coach, whether you've been coaching a year or 25 years, you know that when you're coaching individuals, sometimes they can't put together what's in their mind into their body. Right? It's the biggest challenge of coaching. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of how I came to the 5 pillars. Then we're going to use it as a framework towards your coaching success. Okay. So 5 pillars of excellence. I was so frustrated after coaching for years, and I coach figure skating, and there's a component of that, which is becoming an athlete, right? Becoming the type of athlete that is focused off the ice and then brings it on the ice. So what would I ask the athletes all the time? I would say, hey, did you do your dry land training? Did you do your stretching? Did you do your off ice stuff? And they would often say to me, well, I don't know, or I wasn't there, or we did stuff, but yeah, it was stupid. And I was like, wow, there's a major disconnect here. For some reason, people think they can just show up off the street and do a triple axel. They're not getting it, right? And the same for table tennis, maybe, or the same for volleyball, the same for any sport. The definition that I like to use for an athlete is that you are physically stronger per capita of your body mass ratio is physically stronger than the average person. Okay. So keep that in mind. I wanted to teach people, how do you keep this in mind? And really, I didn't know how to say it to them. And I came up with this 5 pillars of excellence. So we'll get into that. Now, just for fun, let's talk about, what do all your friends think you do as a coach? What do they think you do? This, right? What do you do at work? Oh, you guys do medals and winning and success, right? All day long. Who can relate to that? Your friends think that this is what you do. And they think it's maybe easy, right? You got a cushy little job going. And what do you know for real? What's really happening day to day? Uh-oh, we got some chaos, right? Have you ever run a practice and you got people going everywhere, every which way? Are they listening? Not really, right? All sorts of drama happening. There's emotions, right? How many times do you go to coach people and there's just like sadness, or they're up against their own stuff? And what about loneliness? Can any of you relate to the loneliness of coaching? Yeah, I see some nodding. See some, yeah, exactly. So here's the deal. I think as coaches, yes, we're mentors, but we need to have our own type of framework. Okay, our own type of framework to come in and coach from. Okay, so, oh, somebody else is coming in. Yay, welcome. Don't worry, you didn't miss much. So this is my philosophy. Every coach has something to offer each other. That's why I call this coach to coach. Okay, so if you're thinking about all the concepts that we're doing, bring your coaching brain, but you don't have to have all the answers. You definitely do not. All right. How many of you think too much about your coaching? Put in the chat. Do you overthink it? Do you end up having like too many thoughts about it right before bed? Or do you ever, you're obsessing over an email from a client? Put that in the chat. Who can relate to that? Can anyone relate to any of that stuff? Yeah, I can't be alone, right? I mean, we're always telling our athletes not to overthink, but what about us coaches, right? And you guys can see everything on that screen, right? I just moved it up a little bit. Okay, great. Awesome. All right. So if I'm thinking too much, if I'm thinking about this and that and everything, that chaos that we saw in the practice earlier, that's going to contribute to my coaching chaos. Okay. And coaching chaos leads to burnout. The burnout piece is what we want to get past, bring ourselves back to our center. So that's what our 5 pillars philosophy is all about. Okay. So I just like this photo. I think it's inspiring. I think it's powerful. So I want you to think of someone who's empowered, right? Empowered through their 5 pillars of excellence. Okay. So here the 5 pillars are. These were born from physical training. Okay. As coaches, let's start where you're comfortable. You know about the technique of your sport. You know about the style you want your athlete to have as far as their movement, their physical literacy. You know which muscles you want to target when you're doing exercises. So these 5 pillars were born out of my frustration, like I said earlier, to try to get athletes to understand you are got to be an athlete wholly and physically. So I wanted to break down any kind of physical performance or training style into these 5 pillars. So they are strength, stability, stretch, stamina, and the forgotten pillar, as I often say, number 5, which is stillness. You will have them memorized by the end of this hour because we're going to go over them and over them. Okay. Now, if we think about them physically, right? Just like you see on the screen, That physical strength, we want to have that full body strength, upper, lower, balanced, right? Even right and left sides. I mean, a sport like table tennis, I'm sure it's challenging. You know, someone's right-handed, and how do we get them balanced on the left hand? Or even volleyball, right? Where they're used to doing, you know, one direction all the time. Definitely in figure skating, it's a challenge. So that's one of the pieces of physical literacy and strength that I wanted to bring forward with these 5 pillars. Now, stability. Balance is essential, right? And every single sport has its own balance points that need to be happening physically. And you know these, you know them inside and out, right? You know that, for example, skating backwards, you're going to be more on the front of the blade. You got to feel into the ice. Or setting up for a spike in volleyball, right? How do you plant the feet and then really get it yourself in the air and handle it? So here's the thing. Stability is something that needs to be practiced, right? So explaining it to athletes this way, you need to be strong, but then you also need to be stable. When I talk about number 3, which is stretch, I'm not just talking about flexibility. I'm also talking about preventing muscle injury and honoring the body, right? Having a practice of honoring your body, which is huge. And then again, this is all stuff you know, but it's just a framework to put it into. Number 4 is stamina. How long can you physically train, right? I mean, here's the deal. We all know that the best athletes can out-train somebody else generally, right? They can stick with it. And we're going to bring this into your coaching philosophy in a moment. Number 5 is really crucial. Athletes that do not know how to rest actually burn out as well, as you guys know. If you can relate to that, right? If you've burnt out as an athlete, you know what it was like to not have any stillness in your life. And of course, it can be mental stillness, you know, physical and mental stillness. So we're talking meditation, good sleep, good rest, all those types of things. Now, so far in the webinar, you may be thinking, Jadene, I know all of this. And that's the point. None of this is new. It shouldn't be new. We're just going to take what you know and put it towards your own personal coaching success. Okay? I really believe that when things are simple, they're actionable. When they're simple, they're actionable. And skating success is about solutions that are simple. Okay? So when we're looking at the athlete and the physical performance, that's how you're attaining high performance, is through synthesizing all 5 of these pillars, right? You're maximizing athletic results. Now, if I flip over into coaching land, boom, same thing. Now you're going to think about it as a mental framework. Okay? So same 5 pillars, but as I've finally realized after how many years of doing this, these are those 5 pillars that I can take to any activity that's in front of me, any problem, and go, all right, which of these 5 pillars do I need to work on? Which of these areas do I need to stretch myself into? Maybe take some stillness around, or maybe I just need more stamina. And this is really cool, you guys, because any problem that comes up, now you've got a framework, a filter to run it through. Okay. All right. How are we doing so far? Thumbs up. Okay. Good stuff. I like it. I like you guys already. Don't tell the people that didn't show up. Don't like them as much. I'm just kidding. All right. So this is where we go as coaches. And this, I'm going to tell you right now, screenshot it, take it away. Like, this is meant for you guys. I mean, I put it all pretty for you and like nice colors, because that's kind of my vibe. I'm a choreographer, but it's really for you as a cheat sheet. So think about right now, this week, when you were coaching, take a problem in your mind, something you were like stressed about, whether it was like, you know, maybe the venue changed, or maybe there were athletes that didn't show up, or maybe, you know, a parent reamed you out. Hello, that happened to me. All right. So something happened this week that you were frustrated with. Okay. And as we walk through this framework, think to yourself, which of these areas did I need to improve in order to deal with this problem? Which of these areas? Okay. So let's do an example. The parent shows up and they're very angry and you're trying to deal with something in real time. Now, strength. In this case, see what you're made of. So can I listen to somebody yelling at me? This is very real for me. It literally happened last week. Somebody's yelling at me. Can I stay physically in my body? Can I keep breathing? Can I slow down enough to hear what they're saying between the lines of their anger or their heightened emotion? Okay. So that's an example of my strength, my inner strength. What about my stability? access your ability. That's your mental coaching stability. So you're smart, you know about the sport. In that moment, can you access your own stability and go, all right, I hear what you're saying. Can you slow it down for me and tell me exactly what the problem is, right? Can you access your coaching ability in that moment? Number 3 is your stretch. Is it an area that you just haven't explored? Is the problem that presented itself this week something that you haven't actually gotten better at or know enough about that you'd like to? So maybe the problem is you have an athlete and they're trying to get from level 1 to level 2, and you're like, ooh, I don't know if I know how to coach that. Or maybe I've been coaching it the same way for 20 years and you should know how to do it. Does that work all the time? Or am I willing to stretch my mindset? Am I willing to go, okay, what else can I do? How else can I teach this person? Right? Okay, stamina. How long? You see, I put the O there. How long can you keep going mentally? Coaching is a stamina game, right? Right now, what? It's webinar tonight after coaching on the ice, after driving an hour, after meetings in the morning, after staying up until midnight last night working on this presentation. It's called stamina, coaching stamina. I mean, if your coaching goal is to be an international coach, you're going to be traveling, you're going to be jet lagged. You're going to have a lot of things that are going to require your personal coaching stamina. So who do you want to be as a coach, right? And then I always say that number 5 is the forgotten pillar, because stillness is overlooked all the time in human life. As a coach, how do you reflect? How do you recharge? You want to integrate what you're learning, right? And then you can celebrate yourself. The biggest thing I want to drive home with you guys as coaches that I have learned over the years is nobody's coming to celebrate you. It is a self-celebration exercise, okay? And we'll talk more about it and I'll give you some examples, but we need to be our own cheerleaders. If we're not, sports is brutal. It just is. And it can really crush people from their dreams as coaching. So I don't want that to happen to anyone on this call. Okay. All right. Now, be interactive, be awake, be with me, stay with me. Which one of these, be honest with yourself now. Which one of these do you think might be your most challenging one as a coach? Because we're going to apply it to your homework later. And all I need you to do is put the number in the chat. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Your coaching strength, your coaching stability, your coaching stretch, your coaching stamina, or your coaching stillness. Which one are you battling, do you think? Number 5. Okay. Yep. Number 5. Number 4. Yeah. Stamina. Yep. Who else do we have coming in? Number 2. Okay. Yeah. So the stability. Yeah. Number 3, the stretch. Totally. That's great. I really appreciate your guys' feedback and thoughts. This is so powerful because it gives you, again, a framework, right? Oh, another number 5. Yes. Yeah. That stillness, right? I hear ya. I hear ya. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave the chat over here on the side. Come back to the slides. Loving this. All right. Now, you notice I went from one style, boom, into a different style. Okay. Business strategies as a coach. Do you think of yourself? Oh, another number 5 and a number 2. Thank you guys for your feedback. Yeah. Self-awareness, right? So great. Now, as a coach, do you think of yourself as a business owner? Do you think of yourself as a business owner? Because you're running the business of your coaching, right? There you go. Yeah, no. My whole thought for my new process here in what I'm doing with Skating Success is running this like a CEO. Okay. CEO, we know, is a chief operating officer or an executive officer and all that fine language. I changed it. It's for me, care, energy, organization. That's it. I want to be the CEO of my life as a coach. I want to show up and care. And I can only care if I care about myself, because that's what I'm bringing. I want to have energy, right? I want to bring energy to the rink or bring it to the meeting or bring it to the online course like this. And then number 3, I want to be organized, because the overwhelm is real, right? Like, pull up the documents. I mean, every sport has a trillion rules right now, has all sorts of things you're not allowed to do, all sorts of things that are like, you have to, all the processes, all the courses you have to do to be a coach. I mean, that kind of overwhelm is going to shut us down. So if we just organize ourselves in the way it works for us, now we get through. Now we're the CEO. Okay. So I invite you to think of yourself in a new way, a new identity. I'm the CEO. I care, I have energy, and I'm organized around my business of coaching. You are a business owner. You're running this business, right? Okay. Are you guys ready for part 2? You excited? You guys are like, I'm processing, and Jadene, you talk really fast. Okay, I know. The skaters tell me this too. Yeah, Michelle's ready. Love it. Woo, we got a heart going. Thanks, Lolo. So good. All right, let's talk business. Right now, business. Money is going to happen. We're going to talk about that in 2 weeks. We'll get to money later. That's our another C, the cash, right? But these are 5 layers of coaching. All right, now, don't get confused. We have our framework. Okay, we got our 5 pillars, which are, say them with me in your computer: strength, stability, stretch, stamina, stillness. Okay. And by the way, take these, steal them, use them. This webinar is for you, so you can use them with all your athletes. If this becomes normal for everybody, I would love that. Now that's your framework. We're going to use that framework to look at 5 areas of coaching. Okay. 5 areas of coaching. This is now becoming the business owner, intentional coaching, kind of like a boss, business boss. Okay. Clarity, communication, content, creativity, celebration. I have to tell you as a side story. So it's really funny that everything seems to download for me in these 5 things, right? I always get like 5 of this, 5 of this. I was like, why? And I was asking myself that on the drive to the rink yesterday. And it was like, oh, because as a human, we're like a star. Do you guys remember the Da Vinci, like the picture of the arms out and the legs out? Yeah. And the star is there, the 5 points. And if you integrate and you have the 5 points, you have balance, and you can shine bright. So the head, the 2 arms, the 2 legs. So I hope that that's a fun image for you guys to conjure up. Think of your coaching star and who you are going to be in this conversation as a coach. Okay. All right. First area to become the CEO of your coaching life: clarity. Sometimes I talk to coaches, I'm like, hey, what do you coach? And they give me like a laundry list of things. I do this, I do that, and and my favorite. I've been coaching for 34 years, and I was in the 1984 thing, and and I'm like, oh, okay, got it. And that has nothing to do with what you're coaching right now, does it? Right? So without a long story and without a lot of background, what do you do? Who are you in this coaching? So challenge yourself right now. Can you write down 1 sentence about what you do and why you do it? Can you challenge yourself? Right? So I work with figure skaters, coaches, and clubs globally to provide authentic empowerment through the art of figure skating. That's what I do. Okay. That's how I show up. That's who I am. I'm crazy enough to believe it's going to work. The bottom line. So who are you? And you might not like the sentence at first, or you might be like, I only got a few words, or interesting. I'm only thinking of the past, my accomplishments. And those are great. But clarity is going to provide you the framework to take action. So getting clear on your priorities might help you, right? Like, why do you want to coach? Maybe it's, I want to see everyone have the best technique possible. I coach technique to the highest level. Or maybe it's, you think of, sport has to be more inclusive. I reach into communities and build people through inclusive sporting experiences. Maybe it's just, I like it. I have so much fun at work. It doesn't feel like work. So play with this, right? We draw people toward the precipice of their potential in hopes they cross over to it. Spider, man, that is inspiring. I love that. Thank you for sharing yours. That sounds so nice to see. I like the precipice of their potential. Wow. Yes. I mean, here's the deal. If your clarity isn't inspiring to you, it's probably not inspiring to someone else. So that's a great example of owning your inspiration. Now, if you're having trouble playing with this, I like to say to people, choose a focus, create your coaching niche. Don't be afraid to be the dude that people go to have the quickest hands in table tennis, right? That go-to person. I built my whole entire business just doing choreography, right? Which is not a business plan, by the way, because waving your arms around and making money, like no one's lending you money for that at the bank. But who knew? 20 years later, here we are. So create your coaching clarity. And I have a little hashtag, take the leap. Take the leap. Jump into it. What's the identity you want to have? All right, now, if you're stuck with this, go back to your framework. Is it that I'm not strong enough in my belief of myself? I'm not using strength? Or maybe I'm not stable enough maybe I'm in indecision. Like, oh, maybe I should keep coaching, or maybe I should do less hours, or I don't know if I want to coach here or there. Like, is there too much instability, right? To get your clarity? Or is it stretch? Have you not stretched yourself for a while? Do you think too small? I'm just a local coach. No, you're not. You're changing generations of people. So, look at that too. Now, what about stamina? I mean, I'm going to call people out here. Some people show up at the rink and they're like, I'm tired. And they like to tell everybody why they're tired. And I always say to people, save it for the Tim Hortons lineup. That's where people go to complain. Complaining and coffee. But that's not what we are. We are CEOs of our own coaching business. So we don't do that crap because we have stillness, which might be why we have no clarity. If you have too many thoughts going and you're like, Jadene, I don't know, there's too many thoughts and I wrote a paragraph, then probably the challenge in your clarity is your stillness. We haven't done meditation, maybe haven't taken care of our health, right? We're busy taking care of other people's health, not our own. So these are layers we can play with. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of my water, take a moment of stillness before we go to number 2. Let me know in the chat, a little thumbs up if this is making sense, okay? All right. Okay, awesome. I love this. Okay. You have your clarity. Now I'm going to my second C, which is communication. Oh my goodness. This guy looking at his phone just reminded me so much of receiving an email from a client when you're like, huh? What? Where was this coming from? We got left field going on here, right? So if you can relate to that, you can have a little laugh. But communication has become more important than ever, mainly because we live in the technology era. We live in the technology era. We are not allowed to hide anymore as coaches. When my coach coached me back in the day, he didn't talk to my parents. My parents would ask for meetings and he would reluctantly go to them and get mad at them. I mean, that's how it worked. Okay. Nowadays, you are going to get fired if that happens. So as a coach, as the CEO, okay, of your own business, your own life, I want you to get really, really honest with yourself. What is your communication style? Because if you are frustrated by the way your clients are communicating with you, it's time to kind of like reset how those expectations are coming across. I will tell you, it's funny. I've been thinking about communication with clients the whole time I've been in business. I think it's just because I love being an entrepreneur and I love taking care of my clients. So I think about it as client care, and communication falls into that. But I've never had clients call me. They never really call me. And it's amazing. It's funny. Like people will tell me, oh, my client is calling. It's late at night, all the things, and they're bugging me. And I've never had that. And I really thought about that. And I'm like, why? And I think it's because I choose to communicate ahead of time. Okay. I choose to communicate ahead of time. Back in the day, it was more like written stuff. Now I send out like landing pages with videos of my face, telling them exactly what I'm working on that week with the athletes. They're informed. I have a ton of free content. It's all at Skating Success, so people can understand where I stand. But what about you? What's your communication style? Would you rather have everyone on WhatsApp in a group, right? Do you want all your parents in one group in WhatsApp? Or would you like to answer emails between 9 and 11 in the morning? Or would you like to have one phone call with the client every month and just recap? Maybe you're doing voice notes to them. But this is what's so cool, is that with this technology, you can choose. You can choose how you communicate. What is your format, right? What do you want to do with it? And then here's the cool part: frequency and boundaries. Okay? Frequency and boundaries. So boundaries work like this. Okay, I'll pick on Thor because, let's say Thor texts me at 9 p.m., right? Yeah, he's texting me. He's like, Jadene, let's do this webinar tomorrow, blah, 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 right? Okay. And then I don't reply until the next day at noon. And he says to me, what's up? Are you ignoring me? What's that? You're ghosting me? What's happening? And I say, oh no, I don't answer business texts after 5 p.m. That's just my boundary. And he can go, oh, okay, I don't want to work with you. And I go, oh, no problem. Right? But here I am. Here's my boundary. Or he goes, oh, I guess I'll send you a text by 5 p.m. tomorrow. And then we'll get on the same page. Perfect. Love it. Okay. Now, time zones are part of that, right? You guys have all worked in different time zones with people at this point. So you got to kind of be aware of what time zone will I be willing to work in. I recently did an online choreography piece for someone in Kuwait. And it's like, yeah, it's a big decision to take on somebody who's that big of a time difference. So I have to think about, where are my boundaries with that? Where do I communicate? Okay. All right. So put in the chat if you feel this area for you is one of your challenges. Just a yes or a no. No means, I got this handled, Jadene. Number 2, communication. I'm a communication wizard. And then yes is like, yeah, I can work on that a little bit. That'd be helpful for me to have better communication with my clients. All right, Bob's on it. Nice. Bob, you should hold like a communication seminar. That'd be fun. Oh, Spider's on it. Cool. Very cool. Oh, wow. We got the whole, this crew is on it. I love it. All right. I want to say one more thing about communication. One of the coolest things to do, and this is something I've been working with my clients forever on, is giving them a guarantee. Okay. Now, you can't guarantee the success of the athlete. You can't guarantee the rate of their progress, but you can guarantee as a coach that you will communicate with the parent whether something is amazing or something really goes wrong. So I would say to parents, if your athlete shows up and I'm working with them and there's anything that I think you should know about that would help you at home, or anything amazing happens, like they get a new routine happening or they're like winning, or if there's something really scary, I like, ooh, they're really upset from school, I think something went wrong. Anything way out of the norm, I will let you know. You can rest easy, rest assured. So you give them a communication guarantee. And part of that might be, I will always text you by the end of the night if there's anything you need to know, right? So you put it in those boundaries and you put in that frequency. All right, you guys ready for the next one? Okay, content. Now, this is one of those things that's going to feel different at every stage of coaching. If you've just begun your coaching career and establishing yourself, you know what the content is from your coaches, right? That's their content, that's their methodology, their IP, intellectual property, and their sentences, the way they say it, right? And you're kind of borrowing all that and putting it on, seeing how it feels. And you're developing your own style of coaching, your own methods, right? If you've been coaching a long time, sometimes we get on a repeat where we only coach one way and we forget that we can innovate here. We can actually stretch. We have, iPhones now. We can film things. We can describe things in new ways, right? We have access to the internet. I can show an example on my phone, even if I can't do it anymore. Okay. So think about your content. Now be very selfish. Again, I like the little selfish content concept here. What is something about your content that you think you could simplify? Because as you're communicating with your client, I'm telling you, and I'm sure you've noticed, there's not a long attention span these days, right? We are in the TikTok generation and everyone wants it in 20 seconds or less. And generally they want music behind you. So, turn on the tunes and shake your booty and explain table tennis. I don't know, but you have to decide, how can I simplify it? And I always say, I simplify to simplify. And I mean, I'm teaching skating, so I want people to fly, right? But really think about it as flying into their success. I want to get so efficient with what I'm coaching that I get the time down for their understanding, their integration. One of the beautiful examples of this is when I learned to skate, I was doing figures, and it took me 3.5 years of doing figures, 5 hours a week, probably, to learn all my turns, rockers, counters, all that stuff. When I became a choreographer, I don't have that kind of time with people. So I have simplified it into what I call a family of turns, and I can teach it in 15 minutes, every single turn. 3-turn, bracket, rocker, counter, done. 15 minutes, one explanation, skaters understand it. That took a lot of innovation in my brain to take the content and simplify it, right? So think of it for yourself. What is something you're spending way too much time coaching and teaching that you want to simplify? And throw it in the comments. Be brave, share it. Is it technique on something specific? Is it, I want to have them understand the judging system or the scoring system quicker? Or do I want to have them understand, that how many reps they need to do? Is there something you can simplify? I wish I had prizes. Like, I wish this was kind of like, I could throw prizes at the screen, like for the first person that answers. I would do it. Right, people. What are you going to simplify? Be brave. I think I can see people with like thinking. You guys are like, oh my gosh. Okay. Well, this is perfect because in your homework, you're going to take one of these 5 concepts and you're going to take it home with you and you're going to look at it through your 5 pillars framework. You're going to work on it. You're going to implement it, and you have to have a result 2 weeks from now when you show up again. I am very results driven in coaching. It pisses me off when we don't get results, and I want results every single lesson, every single day. It's literally that standard. If it's not working, I don't do it. All right, what do we got? Feedback. Okay, Spider's saying my feedback. So you want to simplify your feedback. Beautiful. So you can take that as your homework and work on, how do I simplify my feedback? Michelle's saying discuss technique, power, position. Beautiful. Sometimes we have so much knowledge as a coach, it's like too much, right? We like know too many things about something. And it's like, how do I explain it in one sentence? Kind of like we did our coaching identity at the beginning, right? Why do we coach? Can I simplify it? Right? Bend into your ankle, press with your toe, and push. Right? How do I simplify? All right, one more. Somebody else be brave. Come on, give me some feedback. What are you going to simplify? When you think, what could you simplify? It might be personal, guys. By the way, it might be, I just want to have a better pre-routine when I get myself to the venue. So I want to have a better way of showing up and putting all my stuff together, or like my snacks organized or something like that, right? All right, reasons for warm-up. Yes, totally. All right, on the screen, I just put 70% technique and 30% mental as an example. Maybe you're like, ooh, I don't spend any time on mental performance. I'm only talking about technique and physical. And then they get to competition, and for some reason, or tournament, every time they're just like cracking under pressure. Ooh, maybe I should spend a little more time with their mental performance before they go and, hit that arena of competition where they have to really put themselves on the line. Okay. Again, this is so personal. You're niching down. You're deciding how to communicate. You're creating your content. And this is what it takes. Number 4 is your creativity. Your creativity as a coach is what makes you, you. You're the only person with your specific life experience. You're the only person who's done your sport your way. The way you come up with examples and stories and richness and your passion for the sport. You're the only person in the world. There's only one of you. So how are you going to bring that forward to your coaching? Right? I mean, like if I could invent a video game for figure skating, I would, because that would be a sick way to teach. I would bring it on the side of the boards and I'd have people like gaming and then skating and then, back and forth. Like that's how creative I'd like to see things get in coaching, right? What can you do? How can you think differently? Aren't we bored sometimes? Aren't we bored by the same old stuff? Like, come on. Like we're just, and I mean, I'm in a sport that's so repetitive. I mean, she's like, you can fall asleep in them. I did actually, don't tell anyone. I almost fell asleep. I was on Disney on Ice on stage. I almost fell asleep in the middle of the performance. Like I was performing. So bad. So anyway, that's just funny. It really was true. But here's the deal. How do you tap into your personal coaching style? If you don't, you're just missing out on such a cool opportunity to share who you are, right? So what do you have here? Ability to improvise when the facility does not include all tools for practice. Oh yeah, 100%. Great example. As coaches, so many times we cannot control the circumstances. We cannot control the circumstances. We can't control the rink or the venue or the timing. We can't control if other people show up. We can't control, poor Thor, he's trying to organize stuff all over the Northwest Territories. You got distance dealing with it, right? Different organizations, money coming in or not. You tapping into your creativity is going to be so tied to your coaching success. It's nuts. It's nuts. So tell me, do you think for you, this is an area where you could stretch, where you could grow, where you could have more of a growth mindset? Yes. Michelle is a yes. Awesome. Who else? Yeah, we got some nodding. Yeah. Okay. Especially if you've had very good coaching. I mean, I had not bad coaching, but I had some really intense coaching, let's just say. So it was really obvious that I should be creatively different than my coaches. Right. And then I also had some really creative, cool coaching. I had an incredible ballet coach one time who decided that I was going to be a mummy. This is the coolest thing ever. Okay. I was going to be a mummy and I got wrapped all in this muslin cloth. You guys are going to love this. We did a trade show. They put me onto a dolly. So imagine I look like a corpse, right? Literally a mummy. I'm on this thing. I'm 8 years old. I'm like, and the other dancers are wheeling me into the stage and everyone's whispering. All I can hear, oh, is it dead? Who is that? What is that? And people are freaking out. What is that thing? And I'm just laughing on the inside, trying to stay as still as possible. And I get wheeled onto the stage and then propped up and they take the dolly away. And there I am, like this standing mummy. And then as the music starts, the other dancers are dancing around me and casting this spell. And all of a sudden I'm dancing and moving. And then they're unwinding and unwrapping and I become the star of the show. I mean, that is creative, right? Unforgettable. But it came from somebody doing this, thinking differently. And that was, by the way, a very small town, no budget. It was all about her creativity. Magic. I wish I knew her last name so I could go thank her. I don't know. When you're little, you're like, it's Coach Margot. All right. Michelle saying, my coach made his own med balls and platform to practice shot discus on as there was no concrete circle. Wow. See what's possible. What's creative. What's possible. All right. I hope you tap into it. And I hope you like the picture I chose. I thought it was really good. Screenshot it if you want, steal all the things. All right. Time to drink. All coaches drink. I'm just kidding. That's not what this is. It's a celebration. Okay. I'm really passionate about coaches celebrating themselves more. Generally in coaching, we hear when we're not doing a good job, right? We get fired, we lose our position. In NHL, it happens too. It's not just us, it's everywhere. It's a very, let's just say, challenging feedback situation sometimes. And so this is a very powerful thing to do is to praise your own performance. Be on your own team, because it may or may not show up. And you know what? If it shows up from the outside, that is a bonus. That is awesome. And, we appreciate it. But when you don't need it, oh, that's powerful. That is powerful. When you don't need it from the outside, it's just like gravy. I learned this when I broke my foot. So choreographer, broken foot, not a fun time. Okay. And I had to learn to choreograph from the side boards and, use my little rink drawing and try to heal. And it took me so long. And I lived in Edmonton, so it was like winter and snow. And it took me so long to get to the car. And I felt so bad about myself that I realized I'd have to turn this around mentally and get on my own team. Otherwise, I was going to feel devastated. And so I chose to use the time as I'm walking, bag over my shoulders and my crutches on the ice. Not a smart idea, but it is what it is in winter in Edmonton. Crutching my way to my car every night. I used that time to praise myself, to say, Jadene, good job. You showed up today. I know it was hard, but you stuck with it. I know you're tired. Good work. Hey, nice job doing that choreography. That was tough. I'm proud of you. And using it as a ritual, a habit, over and over every day, changed my relationship with my coaching. I had no idea that 3 years later, the whole world would shut down and I would have to do everything on Zoom. And I went, oh, I've done this before. Isn't that crazy? Those skills of sitting still and doing choreography. Oh, I guess I can do this online. And now I do choreography all over the world. If that wouldn't have happened and I wouldn't have learned to praise myself, I don't think I would have the business or the skills to talk to you guys tonight. I'd be way too nervous, right? So there's a silver lining there. We can always find it. But you want to make it a habit, right? You want to make it a habit. Celebrate yourself, especially when you don't think you can. All right, let's go back to these 5 things. Give me a breath. Ready? Breathe in. Breathe out. Our time is almost completing. If you have a question, now is the time to ask me. If you want to put it in the chat, would be awesome, right? It might be a question about how do I apply something like this, or maybe it's a question about the assignment. The assignment is going to be to take one of those areas of your coaching. So either your, well, let's go back to this, your clarity. Okay, I have my notes here, right? Your clarity. Do I need to get more clear about what I coach and how I do? Or maybe marketing myself, right? Maybe I don't have many clients right now. I need to get clear, right? And I'm going to use this framework, the 5 pillars. Or maybe I need better communication with my clients or with my colleagues. That can be tough. Maybe I need to work on my communication with my colleagues. Number 3, content. Maybe I need to simplify to simplify. I'm just, I'm talking too much, or I don't like the results I'm getting. I want faster results with the athletes. I need to find a way to, tweak my content. Number 4, my creativity. Am I stuck in a rut? Am I always doing it the same way? Right? Is there another way I could do it? Or can I do it with ease? Could it be easier? Right? And number 5, do I celebrate myself? If it's never, yeah, you want to use this to think about that. All right, I'm looking in the chat. Find proud. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so Spider, that's your assignment. You're going to work on that this week. And then, so you have 2 weeks until our next call. November 2nd is 2 weeks from now. This week, I want you to choose what you're going to focus on. Use, maybe screenshot, right? Use the 5-pillar philosophy and framework. And then the second week, push yourself, get some results, make the change, send that email out, right? Maybe do a little video for your clients if that's what you're working on, or write down your statement of your clarity, put it in your car on a Post-it note, right? And like, I've been doing that. I have little Post-it notes in my car, like reminding myself, who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? Because this is not accidental. You're not going to accidentally become the coach you want to be or the person you want to be, right? Nobody's going to just show up and give you your dreams. It's really going to be up to you.
Beautiful, Jadene. There's a few things that I really loved. I mean, the first thing you started right off hard is saying the hardest thing is to show up, and yes, it is. You know, it's like, do I want to really do this, and do I want to really go on the ice or go in the hall or whatever else it is. Another thing you said too is, and I can relate to that, is I'm the CEO. You know, I'm the responsible person for myself. No one else is.
Yeah.
And that's something that, yeah, I think we forget quickly. And I just love that because I really relate to that too. And I don't see that as much. The slide that I liked the most was a creativity one, of course. Life experience plus sport experience is creative. And it's so very true because we learn from our experiences, we can adjust, and we had some of the examples here too now. So that was really good. And one of my favorites was hashtag coach yourself. And I think that's really, really important there.
I love it.
So let's just open up for questions. If you have a question, put in the chat or just unmute yourself, say your name and ask your questions.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to try to see it. Maybe I'll stop
I know
share
that you
so
have
that
one in your mind.
then I can see everyone's screen. You guys, first of all, you survived almost an hour of Jadene, so good job. I mean, there it is. But yeah, who's going to be brave and unmute and just give us a little, even a comment about the presentation? It's my first time running this as a presentation, other than to myself and in my car. But any thoughts, feedback, or questions? I'm open. How about Bob?
Bob.
For myself, I'm not really a full-time coach, as probably some of the other people are here. So I don't have the experience per se, and it's a little hard for me to relate to some of the points that you're making. But I can look at each point and I can relate to it for the limited stuff that I've done. So I'm going to take away what I can from this and do the best, be better at the coaching that I do.
Yeah.
And hopefully it helps the other people in what they're doing.
I love that. Thank you. And I appreciate that. You know, everyone has a different amount of coaching in their life. And I think these points are actually pretty universal. They could apply to basically anything, right? So thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. All right. Who else?
We have a question from Michelle here. How did you become a paid coach as athletics coaches are not paid?
So I'm a figure skating coach, and in figure skating, everything costs money. So that's how that happened. But I'm actually an entrepreneur. And I'm glad you said that because, you know, people think that we get paid for time, and we don't. We don't get paid for time. We get paid for value. Okay, I didn't make that up, but we get paid for the value we put into the time. Okay, so you can charge for things that are valuable. Now, in a situation where in that sport, there's nothing that you can charge for as far as that time, how do you create side value? Right now, I'm creating some online courses. Those will be paid experiences, right? I'm creating an app. That will be a piece of value. I've created master classes, so full day workshops. So that's how I do it. I think of it again as a CEO and a business owner, and I create as much value as humanly possible. And then some of it I charge for. The free stuff, podcast, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff, that's lots of free stuff. But that's how I did it. All right, Jean-Luc, I liked trying to identify your coaching identity and the importance of that. Yes, totally. I'm glad you brought that up because it is an individual decision and you can change it. You don't have to be stuck with it, right? It can be something that you develop and you add to. And you can also stop doing something, right? If you don't like doing something, you can say, well, that's not my vibe. That's not my area of expertise, right? So that's exciting. You're going to work on that. All right. What else? You're welcome. You're welcome, Michelle. All right. Is anyone else brave enough to speak up? Say something?
Sorry, I'm in a little loud place. I'm with my son. He's training.
Okay.
So I'm not a professional coach or such, but I coach my son a little. I mean, two of the takeaway from this is the communication and the creativity. Like, I mean, just before I joined this course, so I was trying to explain him something he does wrong, but he wasn't listening to me, and then he was telling me like, you're not teaching me the way that I can understand. So
Mm.
that's really important. So that happens to me all the time, because I see what his wrong is, but I'm not creative enough to sort of give him that feedback, him to sort of correct his whatever he does wrongly. So this happens to me all the time. I'm sure. I mean, this is something that I have to work, at least when I'm with my son.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's so true, right? How do I communicate this and how do I do it creatively so that it actually works? And thank you for tuning in, even though you're in a busy place. Yes. And coaching your own child, I mean, that's a whole other chapter. You know, that's
I know.
yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I can share how he's trained.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Just turn it.
so
Yeah. Oh, fun.
yeah.
Yes.
So
I love it.
yeah.
Wow. Look at how good they are. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was so fun to
Thank
see
you.
that.
Yes, thank you for sharing and showing that table tennis is actually a sport.
So athletic. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I
So
love
Gail.
that.
it's a thing, yeah. Thorsten, so when we walk into this facility, so we don't come here often. So everyone else who were playing a pickleball or badminton, they got a handbag. And I paid the counter and asked, don't they have to wear a band? No. For table tennis, you don't have to wear a band. So they're not even considering it as a game here. So yeah.
Oh,
Amazing.
funny. That's
Amazing.
good. Thank you very much.
I love it.
Okay,
Well,
let's have maybe one last question
yeah. Yeah. Come on,
before
Brittany.
we're gonna say,
Oh,
what is
Gail.
the homework
Hi.
again, please?
Hi, just not a question so much, but a comment. A little like Bob, I'm not actively coaching right now, but I have coached in volleyball in the past, and anyway, just really interested in the fact the framework aspect that you put on looking at your coaching and sort of try to judge how you're doing and where you can look for improvement. And you know, it's interesting to view that and to think about where try and apply my past experiences to that and look to where you know, if and when I'm involved again, how I would you know, what I would like to bring to you know, to my own personal coaching. And so I appreciate your, you know, the work that you put into this and the way you view things. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Gail. I so appreciate that feedback. It's great to know that it makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Well,
Okay,
thank you guys
so maybe
all so
to,
much for being here. Like, this is, I appreciate it very much. Sorry, Thor, go ahead.
yeah, to wrap up, maybe just tell us about the homework again, and then that we can meet again in 2 weeks.
Yes. Okay. So take one of the things, and you really, here's the thing, be selfish. Don't do it for me, right? Do it for yourself. Do what makes the most sense to your results. Because what I would love to see is by the end of the 2 weeks, you guys pop back on here and you're like, oh my gosh, I applied this and it worked. I feel like if I can't get you results, I can't ask you to join me again. So that's my intention. So you're going to take your clarity. Maybe I need more clarity in my coaching. Maybe I want to improve my communication. Maybe I want to, you know, be better at my content, my delivery. Maybe it's my creativity. I got to stretch and get out of my comfort zone. Or number 5, maybe it's, you know what? I need to celebrate myself and take that area and then use the framework of the 5 pillars: strength, stability, stretch, your stamina or your stillness, and go, all right, how can I use this framework to get better? It's cool because you're going to start thinking in this way, and then it's going to spill over into other parts of your life. So I hope you have other stories to tell me when you guys come back.
Beautiful, thank you. And one last thing is the link will be the same in 2 weeks, but I'll send an email prior, maybe this time a day before. We had a little talk, and thanks, Jadene, for bringing that up. But yes, I'm going to send the link earlier next time, again, to everybody that signed up. Just to let you know too, everybody can get professional development points for their coach certification. And what that means is that in order to keep your certification within the Coaching Association of Canada, you need to do X amount of professional development points. And so this is part of that. And you receive now, I think 1 or 2, I think it's 2 points. So that's just a nice little side bonus next to listen to the wonderful Jadene and her experiences. So
Yeah.
thanks everybody for coming.
Oh, one
and
last
we're
thing,
looking
sorry.
forward to.
If
Go
you have a question between now and then, just email me, skatingsuccess@gmail.com. skatingsuccess@gmail.com. Even if there's a question you didn't want to say in front of everyone or whatever, just email me anytime.